welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking on the biggest fear for homeowners living in cloudy climates. I mean, if you've ever looked up at a completely dismal gray sky and thought, yeah, there's absolutely no way solar panels make sense here, well, you're definitely not alone. It's a completely logical assumption, right? But in this explainer, we're going to dive straight into the hard data and the absolute newest tech to show you exactly how to turn those gray skies into green energy. Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's tackle this incredibly pervasive myth right out of the gate. There's this super common misconception out there that heavily overcast weather just makes your roof completely useless for generating electricity. The assumption is basically that solar panels act kind of like magnifying glasses, that they need this blinding direct beam of summer sunlight to actually do their job. People figure, hey, if I can't feel the heat of the sun on my skin, my panels probably aren't feeling it either.
Well, the short, definitive answer to that question is just a resounding no. Solar panels absolutely do not need direct sunlight to work. And honestly, understanding the actual science behind this simple no is going to completely change how you view your home's energy potential. It's going to empower you to make some really smart energy choices, literally no matter what your local weather forecaster says.
The real hero of our story here is something called diffuse sunlight. You see, solar panels don't actually need the heat of the sun. In fact, heat can actually be a bit of a problem, which we'll get to in just a second. What solar panels really need are photons. When photons hit the silicon cells on your roof, they dislodge electrons, and it's that movement that creates an electrical current. Now, even when sunlight hits a super thick layer of clouds, it doesn't just vanish. The clouds actually scatter the light. It bounces all around and becomes ambient, or diffuse light. So those photons, they are still making it to your roof, and they are still perfectly capable of knocking those electrons loose and generating power for your home.
And this actually leads us to a pretty surprising phenomenon called the edge of cloud effect. Believe it or not, sometimes clouds can actually be your solar panel's best friend. When sunlight passes through the very edge of a cloud, the water molecules bend and scatter the light, essentially acting like a giant magnifying lens. This concentrates the light, and get this, according to researchers, this can actually cause your solar output to temporarily spike by 47%. No joke. And incredibly, if the sun happens to hit the edges of two clouds just right, you can actually see a temporary surge of 63%. So a partly cloudy day isn't just, okay for solar. It can honestly sometimes lead to record-breaking surges of power.
But let's look at the real-world data, just to set our expectations right. We aren't pretending a rainy day is exactly identical to a crystal-clear midsummer afternoon. While clouds do act as a filter, a partly cloudy day still delivers a really impressive 50 to 80% of your system's peak output. And honestly, even on the absolute gloomiest, heavily overcast days, the kind where you literally need to turn the lights on inside your house at noon, your panels are still generating 10 to 30% of their peak capacity. That is highly usable power that is actively offsetting what you'd otherwise be buying from the grid.
So mapping out your regional cloud cover is really the crucial first step to understanding your specific solar reality. Just take a look at this NASA data tracking average cloud cover, for example. In Two Harbors, Minnesota, the cloud cover varies from nearly 90% in the winter all the way down to below 40% in the summer. By looking at actual meteorological data, instead of just kind of guessing based on how the weather feels to you day to day, you can accurately calculate exactly how many photons will hit your roof over the course of an entire year.
Now here is a highly counterintuitive weather reality check. Remember how we said earlier that solar panels don't really like heat? Well, extreme heat actually hurts their efficiency. For every single degree Celsius your panels get above their standard test temperature, their efficiency can drop by up to 0.5%. So a blistering hot, completely cloudless day isn't actually perfect. On the flip side, what happens when it rains? Heavy rain is incredibly beneficial. It literally gives your entire system a free maintenance wash, washing away all that power-killing dust and pollen, which ensures you get absolute maximum efficiency the very second those clouds part.
Moving right along to Section 1, Tech Face-Off, Finding the Cloud Champions.
As you've probably guessed, not all solar panels are created equal. If you happen to live in a cloudy climate, choosing the right technology is exactly what separates a frustrating, underperforming investment from a really highly profitable one. So, in our Tech Face-Off today, we've got three main contenders. First up, TOPCon panels. Now, these are the high-tech winners right now. They use these super thin layers that act almost like magic gates for electricity, grabbing even tiny, diffuse amounts of light. We're talking up to 26.1% efficiency here. Next, we have back contact, or BC panels. These are absolutely fantastic because they move all the electrical wiring to the back of the panel itself. That means the entire front surface is perfectly clean and dedicated 100% to catching that weak sunlight. And finally, we have bifacial panels. These are designed to generate power from both the front and the back. But while they definitely sound great on paper, they actually struggle in normal cloudy residential environments. That's because the backside really needs highly reflective surfaces underneath them, think white gravel or snow, to actually produce that extra power.
So if we look at the best panels available in 2026 for famously cloudy places like the UK, for instance, experts are pointing to a few absolute standout models. The Jinko Tiger is renowned for its advanced N-type cells that just stubbornly maintain output in early mornings, late evenings, and weak light. If you're pretty tight on roof space, the Perlite Black Grid squeezes a massive 26% efficiency right out of its small footprint. The ICO NeoStar is another brilliant option for smaller roofs, and that one features cell-level shade optimization. And then, of course, there's the SunPower Maxion 7, which pretty much takes the crown for best overall. It utilizes an incredibly durable cell design that actually retains over 90% of its original output, even after 30 straight years of enduring the elements.
All right, let's jump to Section 2, the blueprint, maximizing your setup.
Now, knowing you have the right technology is honestly only half the battle. How you actually design and install your specific system is what will dictate how much money you ultimately save. You really can't just slap premium panels on a roof and hope for the best, right? You need a strategy that is custom-tailored for gray skies. So here's your ultimate playbook for cloudy climates. Step 1, select high-performance tech, like the TopCon or back contact panels we just talked about. Step 2, and I can't stress this enough, this is absolutely vital, add a solar battery. Since panels obviously don't work at night, a battery stores all that surplus energy you generate during those daytime cloudy hours, so you can actually keep your lights on long after the sun sets. And step 3, optimize your panel tilt and direction. Now, while south-facing is traditionally considered the best, in very cloudy places, placing some panels facing east and west can actually stretch your daily power generation. It helps catch that ambient light earlier in the morning and much later into the evening. You'll also want to utilize microinverters or optimizers, just so that if one single panel gets shaded by a thick cloud, it doesn't drag down the performance of your entire system.
Following this strategic blueprint is essential, mainly because the traditional logic most of us have is actually entirely backwards. You might naturally assume that summer does all the heavy lifting, but looking at the actual data from the UK, a massive 62% of total annual solar generation actually happens outside of the sunny summer months. Yes, spring, autumn, and winter are going to provide the vast majority of your power. What that means is your system absolutely must be designed to capture ambient, diffused light effectively across all the seasons, not just during those midsummer heat waves. So, equipped with this new knowledge of how diffuse light actually works, the absolute latest cell technology, and a smart, battery-backed setup, I think it's time to ask yourself a pretty serious question. Is a little bit of rain really a good enough reason to stay entirely dependent on an aging, increasingly expensive power grid? The data clearly proves that solar is no longer just a luxury for the desert. It's for absolutely anyone who is ready to take control of their energy, rain or shine. So the only question left for you is, how much is the weather really costing you?